When I was starting my career, women would just nod and be like, yeah, what do you, of course. And men would be like, what are your case studies? And what case studies you have to prove your model?
Logic and...
Men would fight with me on some of the details, and women just intuitively understood that the humanity of the work that I was preaching just made sense. And there's space for that. And so, yeah, I think female leadership and those qualities are just necessary everywhere. But yes, there are differences, and they cannot be discounted.
It's difficult to talk about them though, isn't it? It feels like a minefield. Even when I talk about gender differences, it feels like I'm going to step on a mine somewhere, because you're entirely correct. And my previous company was, our managing director was a woman, and I think the business was more successful because of those qualities you've suggested: empathy, care, patience.
Yeah.
She was much more honest about forecasts.
Yeah.
And how the business was going to perform, versus a male leader. I mean, this is such a narrow example, so it's not necessarily truth, but a male managing director we had who was extremely exaggerating and very, very, very ambitious about forecasts that were never realized.
That makes sense. That's consistent. And I think, there's lots of data on this. Men, when they apply for a job and they say we need these 10 things, and if they have 6 out of the 10, they apply for the job. And women won't apply for the job unless they have 9 or 10 of the qualities. Men are a little, I've seen it happen in meetings where, there's a male entrepreneur and like the client is saying, we'd love to have this. And they kind of have it. And the guy goes, we can totally do that. And, and they'll sell it right there and then figure it out later.
Yeah.
And I've sat in meetings with a female entrepreneur who has almost that, like they're really close. And somebody's saying we would love this. And I'm like, you have that? They're like, it's not. We haven't tested it yet. I'm like, you have it. Tell them you have it. They're like, well, it's not perfect yet. So yeah, I mean, some of it is cultural as well. I have a female entrepreneur friend who has a theory, and I have to stress this is her theory.
Deferring responsibility.
Exactly right. She believes men make better entrepreneurs than women.
She believes men make better entrepreneurs than women. Okay.
Yes.
Why?
And the logic is that as when we're young, traditional roles, for the most part, still exist. That if you want to go to the prom, generally, the boy asks the girl, right? I think it's softening, but traditional roles are still there, which means from a young age, boys learn to muster up courage, take a risk, and get rejected. And then they have to do it again. And then they have to do it again.